The massive warship drifted through the void like a metal predator stalking its prey. Commander Thane stood on the bridge watching the small blue planet grow larger on the viewscreen. His chitinous armor gleamed under the harsh bridge lights, and his claws tapped against the command console in anticipation. After 300 years of conquest, the Korath Empire had never met a species that could stand against them for more than a few days. Thane remembered his first battle on the crystal world of Velara. The crystalline beings had tried to defend their cities with energy shields and sonic weapons. Within hours, the Korath warriors had shattered their defenses and crushed their fragile bodies like glass. The Velari surrendered completely after, losing just one settlement. They now served as data processors and architects for the Empire. The gaseous Netherians had been even easier. Their floating cities collapsed when the Korath battle roars disrupted their atmospheric cohesion. The cyborg Machina had calculated their odds of victory at less than 2% and immediately offered tribute rather than face extinction. Even the mighty Saurian Confederacy with their massive war beasts had fallen when Korath pack tactics overwhelmed their individual champions. Lieutenant Grimm approached from the tactical station. His scarred exoskeleton told the story of 50 conquered worlds. Commander, the initial scans are complete. The planet has abundant water and vegetation. Gravity is slightly lower than optimal but acceptable. The dominant species appears to be bipedal mammals with no natural armor or weapons. Thane nodded slowly. Another garden world filled with soft creatures who had never known real predators. The intelligence reports called them humans and described them as social creatures who lived in large groups. They had developed basic space, travel, and primitive energy weapons, but nothing that could challenge Korath's superiority. The estimated conquest time was 72 hours. What about their military capabilities? Thane asked. Fragmented and primitive, Grimm replied. They fight in small groups using projectile weapons and chemical explosives, no energy shields or advanced armor. Their largest military units number only in the thousands. They appear to spend most of their time fighting each other over resources and territory. Thane felt a familiar thrill of anticipation. The Korath had evolved on Grimhold, where acid rain fell daily and predators the size of shuttlecraft hunted in massive packs. Their ancestors had clawed their way to the top of the food chain through superior strength, coordination, and ruthless efficiency. Every Korath warrior could tear through starship hulls with their bare claws, and their pack-hunting instincts made them unstoppable in battle. Deploy the first wave, Thane ordered. Target their major population centers. Standard. Subjugation protocol. The drop pods launched from the belly of the warship like deadly seeds. Each pod contained a full hunting pack of 12 Korath warriors equipped with plasma rifles and molecular blades. They would establish beachheads around the major cities and begin the systematic elimination of any resistance. Within 3 days, the surviving humans would be rounded up and evaluated for potential use as laborers or food stock. Thane watched the pods streak through the atmosphere toward the planet. Surface. The humans had detected the invasion fleet hours ago, and their primitive communications networks buzzed with panicked chatter. Their military forces were mobilizing, but their scattered units and basic weapons posed no real threat to Korath's superiority. The first reports came in within minutes of landing. The lead pack had touched down in what the humans called the Amazon rainforest. The environment was humid and dense with vegetation. Perfect hunting territory that reminded the warriors of home. They began advancing toward the nearest human settlement, following standard pack formation, but something was wrong. The expected human panic never materialized. Instead of fleeing civilians, the warriors encountered organized resistance. The humans moved through the jungle with surprising stealth and seemed to know exactly where the Korath would advance. Worse still, their primitive weapons were being used with deadly precision. Commander, Grimm reported from his station. Pack Leader Rex is requesting immediate support. They have encountered unexpected resistance and have taken casualties. Thane felt a flicker of surprise. Casualties in the first hour of invasion were almost unheard of. What kind of resistance? coordinated ambush tactics. The humans are using the terrain to their advantage and have set multiple traps. They appear to be communicating without technology, using hand signals and natural sounds. Pack Leader Rex reports that they fight like predators, not prey. The view screen displayed tactical data from the surface. The red dots representing Korath forces were surrounded by rapidly moving blue dots. The humans were not running from the superior predators. They were hunting them. More reports flooded in from landing sites across the planet. The humans in the cold northern regions moved across snow and ice with the same deadly efficiency as the jungle fighters. Desert warriors emerged from sand dunes to strike at Korath patrols before vanishing again. Urban fighters used the maze of city streets to fragment the pack formations and pick off isolated warriors. "Sir," Grim said with growing concern in his voice, "we have lost contact with 3 hunting packs. The humans appear to be jamming our communications and have somehow learned to mimic our hunting calls." Thane stared at the tactical display in disbelief. No species had ever successfully hunted Korath warriors. They were the apex predators of the galaxy. Their strength, speed, and pack coordination had never been matched by any opponent. Yet these soft mammals were treating them like prey. "Deploy the second wave," Thane ordered. "Double the pack sizes and provide heavy weapons support." But even as he gave the order, Thane felt something he had never experienced before: the cold touch of uncertainty. The humans were fighting like nothing the Korath had ever encountered. They showed no fear of superior predators. They coordinated their attacks with the same pack mentality that had made the Korath supreme. Most disturbing of all, they seemed to be learning and adapting their tactics in real time. The second wave of drop pods launched toward the planet's surface. This time each pod carried 24 warriors with plasma cannons and energy shields. Surely, no primitive species could stand against such overwhelming force. But as Thane watched the tactical display, he noticed something that made his blood run cold. The humans were not just defending their territory, they were studying the Korath, learning their patterns, preparing for the next phase of battle. These creatures were not behaving like prey species at all. They were acting like predators who had found worthy opponents for the first time in his military career. Commander Thane began to wonder if the Korath Empire had finally encountered something more dangerous than themselves. Captain Rex crouched behind the massive trunk of what the humans called a cecropia tree. His chitinous armor was scarred and his left arm hung useless at his side. Around him lay the remains of his hunting pack, 24 of the Empire's finest. Warriors reduced to 12 in less than 6 hours. The humans had turned the Amazon rainforest into a killing ground, the humidity reminded Rex of home, but everything else was wrong. The humans moved through this jungle like ghosts. They used the canopy above and the thick undergrowth below to launch coordinated attacks that came from every direction at once. Their weapons were primitive but devastatingly effective. Somehow they had learned to target the weak points in Korath armor. A branch snapped to his left. Rex spun around, bringing his plasma rifle to bear, but found nothing except empty jungle. The humans were playing games with him. They could have killed him hours ago, but instead they were wearing him down, making him afraid. No prey species had ever made a Korath warrior feel fear. "Rex to base command," he whispered into his communicator. "Request immediate extraction." "My pack is combat ineffective," Static answered him. The humans had somehow learned to jam Korath communications. They were using captured equipment and had figured out the frequencies within hours of first contact. Rex had fought in dozens of campaigns but had never encountered an enemy that adapted this quickly. Sound echoed through the jungle. It was perfect mimicry of the Korath hunting call that Rex had used to coordinate his pack. But Rex knew none of his warriors were alive to make that sound. The humans were using Korath signals to hunt Korath warriors. The irony would have been amusing if it were not so terrifying. Movement in the undergrowth caught his attention. A figure emerged from the green shadows with deliberate slowness. It was human. Female by the look of it, though, Rex found it difficult to tell with these creatures. She wore camouflage that matched the jungle perfectly and carried what appeared to be a modified Korath plasma rifle. Her dark eyes studied him with the same calculating intelligence that Rex had seen in apex predators. "You can understand me?" she said in perfect Korath dialect. "Your species has been broadcasting on open frequencies for hours. We have been listening." Rex felt his secondary heart skip a beat. This creature had learned the Korath language in less than a day. She spoke with the grammar and inflection of a native speaker. "Impossible. Korath speech patterns are too complex for primitive minds," the human smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. "You keep using that word, primitive. We have nuclear weapons that can destroy cities. We have computers that can calculate orbital mechanics. We have medicines that can cure diseases your people consider fatal. You mistake our technology level for our intelligence." More humans emerged from the jungle. They moved with the fluid coordination of a hunting pack. Their weapons were trained on Rex, but they showed no fear or hesitation. These creatures had surrounded and captured one of the galaxy's most feared predators, and they acted like it was routine. "I am Torres," the female said. "I suppose you could call me a soldier, though we have many words for people who fight. What should I call you besides dinner?" Rex bristled at the insult, but found himself oddly curious about this creature's attitude. "I am Captain Rex of the 47th Shock Battalion. You will address me with proper respect," Torres laughed. The sound was not musical like the Korath victory trill. It was sharp and predatory. "Respect is earned. Your people dropped out of the sky and started shooting at civilians? That is not how you earn respect from humans." "We are the apex predators of this galaxy," Rex said. "Every species submits to Korath superiority. It is the natural order." "Natural order," Torres repeated. "You mean the strong prey on the weak?" "We understand that concept very well. We have been doing it to each other for thousands of years. The difference is we learn to do it better." She gestured to her companions. "These are my packmates. We have been hunting together for 3 years. We know each other's movements and thoughts. We can communicate without words. We have killed together and bled together." "Does that sound familiar?" Rex studied the group more carefully. They did move like a pack. Their positioning was perfect for mutual support and overlapping fields of fire. They watched each other's backs and shared information through subtle gestures. It was exactly like Korath pack behavior, but somehow more refined. "You fight like predators," Rex admitted. "But you are still prey. You have soft skin and fragile bones. You cannot survive in the void of space without artificial protection. Your world has made you weak." Torres smiled again. "Weak, another. Interesting word. Let me tell you about our world. We call it Earth. It has weather patterns that can level cities. We have creatures in our oceans that can swallow your dropships whole. We have diseases that can kill millions. We have volcanoes that block out the sun and ice ages that freeze continents." She paused to let that sink in. "But you know what the most dangerous thing on Earth is? Other humans. We have spent our entire history fighting each other. We have developed weapons that can destroy our own planet. We have tactics and strategies that your people have never imagined. We do not just fight to survive, we fight to win." Rex felt something cold settle in his chest. "You wage war against your own species?" "War is our natural state," Torres replied. "We have been at war somewhere on our planet for all of recorded history. We have learned to fight in jungles and deserts and cities and oceans. We have learned to fight in the air and under the ground. We have learned to fight in ways that would make your people sick." She leaned closer to Rex. "You think you are apex predators because you evolved on a dangerous world. But you evolved to survive your world. We evolved to conquer ours. There is a difference." Rex tried to process this information. The humans were not just defending their territory. They were treating the invasion as another war against another enemy. They were applying thousands of years of military experience to fight the Korath. No wonder they adapted so quickly. "Your invasion fleet," Torres continued, "how many ships?" Rex remained silent. He would not betray military secrets to a prey. "Species," Torres sighed. We have already scanned your vessels. 47 heavy cruisers and 1 command ship, approximately 50,000 troops. Standard Korath invasion force for a Class M planet. Rex stared at her. Those numbers were classified information. How could you possibly know that? Because we have been watching your people for months. We detected your scout ships and tracked your fleet movements. We know your tactics and your equipment. We know your weaknesses and your strengths. We have been preparing for this war since before you decided to fight it. Taurus stood and shouldered her weapon. You are going to help us contact your command ship. You are going to tell them that humans are not prey. You are going to tell them that if they want to survive this war, they need to start treating us as equals. Rex felt the weight of revelation crushing down on him. The humans were not just another species to be conquered. They were something the Korath had never encountered before. They were a species that had evolved specifically to fight wars. They were predators who had learned to hunt other predators. And if I refuse? Rex asked. Taurus' smile turned cold. Then you will learn what humans do to apex predators who threaten our pack. 3 weeks after what should have been a simple conquest, Commander Thane found himself barricaded in his own command center. The humans had not only repelled the invasion, but had somehow reached the Korath fleet in low orbit. Their primitive shuttlecraft had been modified with captured Korath technology, and they were boarding the warships with terrifying efficiency. The sound of plasma fire echoed through the corridors outside. Thane could hear his warriors falling, back level by level as the humans advanced through the ship. These creatures fought like demons in the close quarters of starship corridors. They moved with fluid grace and coordinated their attacks with precision that made Korath pack tactics look clumsy. Sir, Lieutenant Grimm reported from his station. We have lost contact with decks 7 through 12. The humans have captured engineering and are attempting to access the main computer core. Thane studied the tactical display. Red icons representing his forces were shrinking rapidly, while blue human symbols spread through the ship like an infection. In 3 weeks of fighting, the humans had learned to pilot Korath vehicles, operate Korath weapons, and now they were capturing Korath starships. How is this possible? Thane muttered. They are supposed to be a primitive species. Commander, Grimm said quietly. I think we have been operating under false assumptions about these creatures. The blast doors to the command center exploded. Inward, Thane spun around, expecting to see Korath warriors retreating from human pursuit. Instead, he saw humans advancing in perfect formation. They moved like water flowing around obstacles while maintaining overlapping fields of fire. Their captured Korath weapons had been modified and improved. The lead human was a scarred female, with cold eyes and predatory grace. She wore a mixture of human and Korath armor that had been adapted to fit her smaller frame. When she spoke, it was in flawless Korath military dialect. I am Colonel Rodriguez of the Human Defense Corps. You will order your remaining forces to stand down immediately. Thane drew his molecular blade. I am Commander Thane of the Korath Empire. I do not surrender to prey species. Rodriguez smiled. It was the expression of a predator who had cornered her quarry. Prey species, you keep using those words. I do not think they mean what you think they mean, she gestured to her companions. They spread out in a perfect envelopment pattern that would give Thane no escape route. Let me tell you what we have learned about your people in the past 3 weeks. You are strong and fast, and your armor is impressive. Your weapons are advanced, and your ships are well designed. But you have one critical weakness. What weakness? Thane demanded. You have never fought a species that fights back effectively. Every enemy you have encountered either surrendered immediately or was quickly overwhelmed. You have become complacent. You have forgotten that predators can also be prey. Rodriguez moved closer. We have studied your tactics and your equipment. We have dissected your weapons and analyzed your armor. We have learned your language and your customs. Most importantly, we have learned to think like you think. She paused to let that sink in. But you have not learned to think like us. You still see us as soft prey animals. You cannot understand how we have turned your own advantages against you. Thane felt confusion and anger warring in his chest. We are the apex predators of the galaxy. We have conquered hundreds of worlds. Conquered, Rodriguez repeated. Yes, you have conquered many worlds, but you have never fought a war. There is a difference. She gestured to the tactical display. Your people attack in predictable patterns. You use the same formations and the same strategies on every world. You rely on superior strength and intimidation. These tactics work well against prey species, but they are useless against other predators. Rodriguez activated a holographic display showing Earth. This is our world. We have been fighting wars on this planet for 50,000 years. We have fought with sticks and stones and nuclear weapons. We have fought in forests and deserts and cities and oceans. We have fought in the air and under the ground and in the depths of space. The display shifted to show human military history. We have developed strategies that your people have never imagined. We call them combined arms tactics, asymmetric warfare, psychological operations. We have learned to use every advantage and exploit every weakness. Thane stared at the images. The humans had not just developed weapons. They had developed an entire science of warfare. They had studied conflict the way the Korath studied hunting. You wage war against your own species? War is our natural state, Rodriguez confirmed. We have been at war somewhere on our planet, for all of recorded history. We have learned to fight enemies who think like we think, who adapt and change and surprise us. Fighting you is actually easier than fighting ourselves. She moved to the command console and began accessing the ship's systems. Your people made a critical error. You assumed that primitive technology meant primitive thinking. But we have been using these weapons and tactics for centuries. We know exactly how to fight with limited resources against superior enemies. The console displayed data about the Korath fleet. You have 47 ships and 50,000 troops. We have 6 billion people and an entire planet devoted to military production. We have been analyzing your technology and improving upon it. We have been studying your biology and developing specific countermeasures. Rodriguez turned back to Thane. Do you know what we call creatures like you on our world? We call them endangered species. We call them that because when humans encounter apex predators, we do not run away. We study them. We learn their weaknesses. We develop better weapons. And then we eliminate them. She gestured to her companions. These are my packmates. We have been hunting together for 5 years. We know each other's movements and thoughts. We can communicate without words. We have killed together and bled together. Does that sound familiar? Thane recognized the words. They were exactly what Captain Rex had reported from his interrogation. The humans were not just copying Korath pack behavior. They were perfecting it. But you are more than just another pack, Rodriguez continued. You are the first worthy opponents we have encountered in space. You fight like predators, not prey. You coordinate your attacks and support each other. You adapt to changing conditions. These are all traits that we respect. She paused. That is why we are offering you a choice. You can continue fighting and we will destroy you completely. Or you can accept that you are no longer the apex predators of this galaxy and learn to coexist with us. Thane felt the weight of defeat settling on his shoulders. The humans had not just beaten the Korath military. They had demonstrated that the entire basis of Korath's superiority was an illusion. They were not the galaxy's ultimate predators. They were simply the most successful ones to leave their homeworld. What do you want from us? Thane asked. Rodriguez smiled. We want you to go back to your empire and tell them the truth. Tell them that humans are not prey. Tell them that Earth is not a garden world. Tell them that if they want to survive in a galaxy that contains humans, they need to start treating us as equals. She moved to the communications console. And tell them that if they choose to continue this war, we will not just defend ourselves. We will hunt them across the galaxy until every last Korath learns what it means to be prey. Thane looked at the tactical display one final time. The red icons representing his forces had almost completely disappeared. The humans had captured his fleet and defeated his warriors without breaking a sweat. They had turned the hunters into the hunted. "I will deliver your message," Thane said quietly. Rodriguez nodded. "Good, because the alternative is extinction. And we have become very good at causing extinctions." The greatest minds of the Korath Empire gathered in the research station orbiting the human homeworld. Dr. Vex led the team of xenobiologists and military analysts who had been tasked with understanding these impossible creatures. After 2 months of study, they had reached conclusions that challenged everything the Korath believed about the nature of predators and prey. Dr. Nash sat in the center of the laboratory surrounded by curious Korath scientists. The human xenobiologist had been captured during the Battle of Luna Station and had agreed to serve as a cultural liaison in exchange for the safety of her research team. Her insights into human psychology and biology had been both fascinating and deeply disturbing. "Tell us again about your species' evolution," Dr. Vex requested. "We are still having difficulty understanding how such physically fragile creatures could develop such advanced hunting behaviors." Nash smiled patiently. She had been answering similar questions for weeks. "Humans are persistence hunters. We evolved to chase prey across vast distances until they collapsed from exhaustion. We developed complex social structures to coordinate group hunts. We learned to use tools to overcome our physical limitations." She gestured to the holographic display showing early human development. "Our ancestors spent millions of years competing with other predators for the same resources. We learned to hunt mammoth and cave bears and saber-toothed cats. We did not just survive alongside these creatures. We drove most of them to extinction." Dr. Vex felt his secondary heart skip a beat. "You eliminated the apex predators of your own world?" "We eliminated everything that competed with us," Nash confirmed. "Dire wolves, cave lions, giant ground sloths, short-faced bears. If it was large and dangerous, we either killed it or domesticated it. The few large predators that survived did so because we found them useful." She activated another display showing modern Earth. "Today, the most dangerous predators on our planet are either our allies or our property. We keep wolves as pets. We use large cats for entertainment. We have turned the descendants of apex predators into companions and tools." The Korath scientists exchanged nervous glances. The idea of domesticating predators was completely alien to their worldview. On Grimhold, the strong dominated the weak through superior force. The concept of taming apex predators was incomprehensible. "But surely you must have some natural predators," Dr. Vex insisted. "Every species has enemies that limit their population," Nash laughed. "Our greatest enemy is ourselves. We have been fighting each other for our entire recorded history. We have developed weapons that can destroy cities. We have strategies that can defeat any opponent. We have become so efficient at warfare that we had to invent rules to limit our own destructive potential." She paused to let that sink in. "We call them the laws of war. Rules that define acceptable and unacceptable behavior during conflict. We created these rules because without them, we would have exterminated ourselves long ago." Dr. Vex studied the human carefully. "You have rules that limit your effectiveness in battle?" "We have rules that prevent us from becoming monsters," Nash corrected. "We could use biological weapons that would kill every Korath in the galaxy. We could poison your food supplies or release diseases that target your specific biology. We could destroy your homeworld and salt the earth so nothing would ever grow there again." Her expression grew serious. "But we do not do these things because we have learned that some victories are not worth winning. We have learned that true strength comes from choosing when not to use your full power." The research team fell silent. They had been studying human military capabilities for months and had cataloged thousands of weapons and tactics. But they had never considered that humans might be deliberately limiting their own effectiveness. "Show them the nuclear weapons data," Nash said to the computer. The display shifted to show mushroom clouds and radiation zones. "These are atomic weapons. We developed them during our Second Global War. They use nuclear fission to create explosions that can level entire cities. We have built enough of them to destroy every major population center on our planet. Dr. Vex stared at the images in horror. You created weapons that could destroy your own world? We created weapons that could destroy any world, Nash replied. The technology scales up easily. We could build bombs that would crack continents or disrupt planetary orbits. We could turn your beautiful homeworld into a radioactive wasteland where nothing would survive for thousands of years. She gestured to the display. But we do not do this because we have learned that some weapons are too terrible to use. We have learned that the ability to destroy everything does not make you strong, it makes you responsible. Lieutenant Grimm entered the laboratory carrying a datapad. Dr. Vex, we have received new intelligence from the human fleet. They have developed faster-than-light communication and are coordinating their forces across multiple star systems. Nash nodded. That would be the quantum entanglement network. We have been working on that technology for decades. It allows instantaneous communication across any distance. Dr. Vex felt a chill run down his spine. You have had this technology for decades, but you never used it for military purposes? We used it for scientific research first, Nash explained. We believe that knowledge should be shared freely among all people. Military applications come second to advancing understanding. She activated another display showing human space exploration. We have been studying your people since your first scout ships entered our system. We have learned your language and your customs. We have analyzed your technology and your tactics. We have prepared defensive strategies for dozens of different attack scenarios. The display showed detailed schematics of Korath ships and weapons. We have improved upon your designs and developed countermeasures for your advantages. We have created new alloys that are stronger than your armor. We have developed energy weapons that are more efficient than your plasma rifles. Dr. Vex stared at the technical specifications. The humans had not just copied Korath technology. They had perfected it. How is this possible? You have only had access to our equipment for a few months. We have been studying physics and engineering for centuries, Nash replied. We understand the principles behind your technology. Improving upon existing designs is much easier than creating them from scratch. She paused thoughtfully. Your people made a fundamental error in your assumptions about us. You saw our primitive technology and assumed we were primitive thinkers. But we have been solving complex problems for thousands of years. We have been developing science and mathematics and engineering at an exponential rate. The laboratory fell silent as the implications sank in. The humans were not just physically dangerous. They were intellectually superior. They had been studying the Korath while the Korath had been underestimating them. What do your people want from us? Dr. Vex asked quietly. Nash smiled sadly. We want you to understand that the galaxy is big enough for all of us. We want you to learn that cooperation is more valuable than domination. We want you to discover that the strongest predators are those who choose to protect rather than destroy. She gestured to the display showing both human and Korath space. We could destroy your empire if we chose to. We have the technology and the strategic thinking to eliminate your entire species. But we will not do this because we have learned that genocide is not victory, it is failure. Dr. Vex felt something he had never experienced before. Respect for a species that could have destroyed them but chose not to. You would spare us even though we attacked your world? We would teach you, Nash replied. We would share our knowledge and our perspective. We would help you understand that true apex predators do not dominate through fear. They lead through example. She stood and moved to the window overlooking Earth. This is what we call a death world. Not because it kills everything that lives on it, but because it creates life that refuses to die. We have learned to survive anything this universe can throw at us. Now we want to teach others to survive as well. Dr. Vex joined her at the window. What happens now? Nash smiled. Now you go back to your people and tell them the truth. Tell them that humans are not prey. Tell them that Earth is not a garden world. Tell them that the galaxy has room for many different kinds of predators. She turned to face him. And tell them that if they choose to be our enemies, we will hunt them to extinction. But if they choose to be our allies, we will teach them to hunt the stars. Emperor Vox stood in the great hall of the Korath Empire, surrounded by the remnants of his once mighty military. 6 months had passed since the failed invasion of Earth, and the galaxy had changed in ways that no one could have predicted. The Treaty of Terra lay open on the ceremonial table, waiting for his signature. General Brooks of the Human Defense Corps stood across from him with calm confidence. The human diplomat had arrived not in a warship, but in a research vessel filled with scientists and engineers. The message had been clear from the moment they entered Korath space. Humans preferred cooperation to conquest, but they were prepared for either outcome. "The terms are generous," General Brooks said in perfect Korath formal dialect. "Complete cessation of hostilities. Mutual defense agreements, shared technology and scientific research. Your people retain full autonomy over your internal affairs." Emperor Vox studied the document carefully. The humans could have demanded unconditional surrender. They could have occupied Korath worlds and enslaved the population. Instead, they were offering partnership. "Why do you show such mercy to a defeated enemy?" "Because we do not see you as defeated," Brooks replied. "We see you as potential allies. Your people have strengths that complement our own. Your warriors are brave and your scientists are skilled. Working together, we could accomplish things that neither species could achieve alone." The Emperor felt a mixture of confusion and grudging respect. "You speak of cooperation, but your forces destroyed our invasion fleet. You hunt our warriors like prey animals? How can we trust creatures who fight with such ruthless efficiency?" Brooks smiled. "Because we chose to stop fighting. We could have pursued your retreating forces back to your homeworld. We could have bombarded your cities and eliminated your government. We could have ended the Korath Empire in a matter of weeks." He gestured to the holographic display showing both human and Korath space. "Instead, we sent diplomats. We offered negotiations. We shared our medical technology to treat your wounded warriors. We demonstrated that humans can be both predators and protectors." Commander Thane stepped forward from his position near the throne. The veteran warrior had spent the past month serving as a liaison aboard the human vessel Indomitable. His reports had been instrumental in convincing the Emperor to consider the human offer. "Sir," Thane said carefully, "I have observed these creatures closely. They are not like any species we have encountered before. They do not fight for territory or resources. They fight for ideas, for concepts like freedom and justice and protection of the innocent." The Emperor studied his subordinate. Thane had been changed by his experience with the humans. He spoke with a new understanding of honor and duty that went beyond simple pack. "Loyalty, explain." "They have introduced concepts that we never considered," Thane continued. "They speak of honorable combat and protection of civilians. They have rules that govern their conduct in war. They believe that true strength comes from choosing when to use your power and when to show restraint." Brooks nodded approvingly. "Your commander has learned quickly. He has seen how we train our forces and organize our society. He understands that cooperation produces better results than domination." The Emperor felt the weight of decision pressing down on him. The old ways of conquest and subjugation had led to disaster. The humans had proven that there were other paths to power, paths that did not require the destruction of potential allies. "What assurances do we have that you will honor this agreement?" Vox asked. "The same assurances that we have from you," Brooks replied. "Mutual benefit, shared interests, the knowledge that cooperation serves both our species better than continued conflict." He activated the holographic display showing technical specifications. "We have already begun sharing our technology. Our medical advances have increased Korath lifespans by 30%. Our agricultural techniques have improved your food production. Our defensive systems have strengthened your border worlds." The Emperor studied the data with growing amazement. In just 6 months, the humans had provided more beneficial technology than the Korath had developed in decades. You share these advances freely? Knowledge belongs to all sentient beings, Brooks replied. We believe that raising the capabilities of our allies makes us all stronger. A galaxy filled with advanced civilizations is safer and more prosperous than one dominated by a single species. A communication alert chimed through the hall. The display showed an incoming message from the Outer Rim territories. Admiral Krug appeared in holographic form with urgent news. My Emperor, Krug reported. We have encountered a new threat. Unknown vessels have attacked the Velari colony worlds. The ships appear to be of organic construction and they consume everything in their path. The Velari are requesting immediate assistance. Emperor Vox felt his blood freeze. The Velari were a peaceful species that had submitted to Korath rule centuries ago. They posed no threat to anyone, but they were productive workers and loyal subjects. How many ships? Unknown, sir. The Velari transmissions cut off after reporting massive vessels emerging from hyperspace. We estimate the entire colony has been consumed. Brooks studied the tactical data with the same calm analysis he had shown during the peace negotiations. We have encountered reports of similar attacks in other sectors. The species appears to be extragalactic in origin. They consume entire star systems and use the matter to build more ships. The Emperor felt fear creeping into his chest. Can they be stopped? Not by any single species, Brooks replied, but perhaps by an alliance of species working together. This is exactly the kind of threat that requires cooperation rather than competition. He turned to face the Emperor directly. Your people are warriors. Our people are strategists. The Velari are skilled technicians. The Machina are expert analysts. Working together, we might be able to develop a defense against this threat. Commander Thane stepped forward again. Sir, the human fleet is already mobilizing. They are requesting permission to coordinate with our forces for a joint response. The Emperor looked at the treaty document one final time. The humans were offering partnership in the face of a threat that could destroy all of them. They were proposing to share their most advanced technology and tactical knowledge with former enemies. You would trust us with your military secrets? Vox asked. Brooks smiled. We would trust you with our lives. That is what allies do. The Emperor picked up the ceremonial stylus and signed the Treaty of Terra the moment his name appeared on the document. He felt a weight lift from his shoulders. The age of Korath domination was over, but the age of Korath cooperation had just begun. Admiral Krug, the Emperor commanded, coordinate with General Brooks for immediate deployment. All available forces are to rendezvous at the Velari system. Yes, sir, Krug replied. What are our rules of engagement? The Emperor looked at Brooks, who nodded encouragingly. We fight as allies, we protect the innocent. We show these creatures what happens when prey species learn to hunt together. As the combined human and Korath fleets moved toward the threatened system, Emperor Vox realized that the galaxy's definition of apex predator had been too narrow. The strongest species were not those who dominated through fear, but those who led through example. The most dangerous predators were not those who hunted alone, but those who could unite others in common cause. The humans had not just defeated the Korath Empire, they had transformed it. They had shown that true strength came not from being the ultimate predator, but from being the ultimate protector. And now, together, they would teach the galaxy that when Deathworld species choose to cooperate, the stars themselves become safer. The age of human apex predators had begun. But they would not rule through conquest. They would lead through service. They would protect the weak and guide the strong. They would turn the galaxy into something worth defending, and any species that threatened that peace would learn what humans did to creatures who preyed on their pack.